Welcome to the Elite Four, a retro Pokemon tournament podcast. My name is Laura.
Tyler.
I'm Rick, and Michael fainted.
Welcome to this week's episode. As you can tell, Michael fainted, aka he's not here right now. He is deemed an essential employee during our COVID-19 pandemic and got called into work about 2 hours ago, so we are going to go on without him. And as his hilarious punishment for missing such things, we can just talk mad smack to him this entire time and he can't defend himself. So I'm on board for that.
Oh yeah. I'm totally on board for that. This is going to be fun.
It's going to be pretty great. We're currently recording this episode during the unfortunate pandemic of COVID-19, so we hope everyone is staying safe, healthy, washing their hands, doing what they can to reduce the spread. We're going to talk about a couple other tournaments that we hosted, Team Synergy, Strategies, and also our type-specific tournament, which meant you could only bring a team of one specific type, which is kind of a fun curveball from the usual setup. I would like to give a quick shout out to our Grimers, which is what we have dubbed our listener, and shout out to our head Grimer, who is also hanging out, staying safe. Last time I talked to him, he is perfectly safe right now, so good to know. Hopefully our other Grimers are as well. As the first topic...
What up, Head Grimer?
Head Grimer. Grimer. As the first topic to bring up, one that's been annoying for forever, is that Pokemon has never had true Wi-Fi battling. And it's not because the technology's not there. It was 100% there. So I have a side rant about that before we jump into the next tournament chatter. But does anybody have theories as to why they never set up Wi-Fi battling? Because they totally could.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure because they eventually set up, you could do it like starting with Generation 4, you could do Wi-Fi battles, but I just don't understand why they couldn't institute it in all of the virtual console releases of the old games. Like, they still set up wireless trading and battling if you're in like really like physical proximity to the other person. But yeah, I just like, how can they not add in like Wi-Fi? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen, now correct me if I'm wrong, you can do Wi-Fi trading if you're on the same network, something like that. Again,
you don't.
I haven't been in the Pokemon game for a while, so the new stuff, call me an old man, but the new stuff is like, woo, like over my head.
Well, you're like on the DS and the 3DS, you have local wireless communication. So you don't need to like sign into the same wireless network. It's just like you know how you could do mystery gift with the old Game Boy Colors?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You could just be really close to someone, but why can you not like do it over the internet? That just doesn't make any sense to me, especially because way back in 2000 in Japan, there was a special cell phone accessory you could get that would plug into your Game Boy, and it worked with
awesome.
Yeah, it's super. You could do it you had to have Pokemon Crystal, but you could do it, and it worked, and that was 20 years ago.
Would have been great to have on my, what do we have, a Motorola Razr? Fun. Oh man. But yeah, no, I mean, I think especially in times like now with all the social distancing and stuff like that, the Wi-Fi battling would be a huge benefit to our Grimers and even us 4 minus 1 right now. But it'd be a huge benefit and be able to actually connect with people.
It would be a benefit to us anyway because we live in different parts of the country.
Oh yeah, especially now.
I was really excited when they came out with the virtual console versions for 3DS. I was like, oh man, we can all get 3DSs and battle, but nope.
But that link cable though.
Link cable.
It's gonna be a long link cable to connect all of us.
Yep. Underwater link cable from like New York to London.
Google Fiber will do it.
Do it. Whoever Facebook person is hearing this, do it.
So transitioning into our first kind of like fun question, do you guys have any favorite gym leader battles from the actual anime series?
Our favorites?
I mean, I don't know. I thought Blaine's was kind of cool because it was like Charizard versus Magmar, and from the anime, it was like obviously Ash can't control Charizard because he's a horrible trainer, but Charizard actually saw Magmar as a bit of a challenge. So I think it was in the second round of the battle they actually went ahead, and it was like a one-on-one battle, Charizard against Magmar head-to-head, and that was actually pretty cool to watch. I was like, oh man, okay, Magmar is standing up to Charizard. Charizard's like, nah, man, I'm winning this one. So I thought that one was actually probably my favorite one.
I have to say the same thing, actually.
Yeah.
It was like a 2-part battle, too. It was like 2 episodes. And it was like, as the series went on, the battles got better. So, like, at the beginning, some of the battles were a little bit maybe stiff, if I can say that. But
like the Metapod battle.
Yeah, like that one. But the Blaine battle was probably my favorite.
Mine is actually the very first battle. It's the Brock battle because I like that one in the sense of like Brock 100% had that match. Ash won as he wins on most and like some weird fluke of like sprinklers, and I was like, no, Brock definitely had this, and then just like set the tone for how Ash wins everything going forward on like weird flukes because Brock was definitely significantly better at training his Pokemon.
It really did set the tone.
Like it was just going to be shenanigans. I guess that's kind of how like Pokemon and Pokemon Stadium happens anyway. It's just shenanigans.
Oh yeah, there's definitely no shortage of shenanigans at the tournaments.
Oh, none at all.
So one of our topics for today is team synergy strategies, and because we're fairly experienced at this point of our tournament life, the couple tournaments we're talking about, I feel like we've had like team cohesion and we started to figure it out. At this point, what type of team synergy had you worked on leading up to this tournament, Tournament 5?
I guess I'll go first. Well, aside from my cousin Connor, who was kind of the only person that really thought about team synergy or team setups, I think the only thing that I really thought about was just don't save your exploder for last, because that would be, you wouldn't be able to use it, because if you explode on your last, then you just forfeit. And that was kind of it. I mean, like, general type coverage was always really useful, but I don't think I was necessarily thinking about team synergy up until the single type tournament.
So I think with me of understanding, yes, like Tyler said, team coverage and general type coverage, especially if you have one type that has like a weaker area than another one. So there had been a few times where I've seen Tyler do it, I've seen Laura do it. I might have done it once or twice where you would actually use Reflect and then switch into a Pokemon that has a lower defense stat, but that Reflect would actually be able to handle a lot of the hits because Reflect takes about half the damage off of any physical attack. So even though you have a Pokemon that has a lower defense statistic, you're able to stay in there so long as you're able to kind of manipulate it. And I know we talked about switching being a huge thing, knowing when to do it, not to do it, but that does fall into team synergy as well.
I think something that, Rick, you did without necessarily thinking of it as team synergy would be just the Pokemon that you picked over, or like we were discussing the general type coverage, because I feel like you picked Starmie and Golem a lot, and they really help complement each other for what they're weak to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that was something that was like planned on for team synergy. I think that was just like type coverage.
Yeah. So that's again a big thing is, I think Laura kind of learned that the hard way one time. It may have actually been the first tournament where Laura had a team that was like all weak to like one type, and then was like, oh crap, and then immediately learned from that and implemented a change there.
Mm.
That type was definitely ice. Don't worry, I remember.
Womp womp.
For me, I think at this point I had two good players that played well, and I struggled with making that third one. So I'd have two Pokemon that played well. I think I had an Arcanine and an Exeggutor that actually played well together. But that last third one was for me was at the point of this one that wasn't falling into place, where I was like, oh, I need to think about like all three together, which wasn't always the case. But I think that's kind of it. Did I have an Exploder at this point? I think I did.
Exeggutor.
Exeggutor is that?
Yeah, that stupid Exeggutor.
He's like good without explosion anyway, so he's kind of fun because like I can explode him immediately if I need to, but if I don't need to, he can take out Pokemon before I have to just go suicide on him.
Like I said, stupid.
The way they tag team is my Arcanine no Sunny Day, which obviously boosts fire type attack, but then can give his Solar Beam the need to not charge, which is kind of nice to have that power instantly.
And that was something that was like an easy, simple idea that we that was how we all started this like team cohesion strategy stuff. It was something that Connor did when he had his Charizard Venusaur combo, which is similar to what you're saying with your Arcanine and Exeggutor. That was just like an easy thing that you can put in that helps other Pokemon because, like you said, Sunny Day helps with Solar Beam, but then Rain Dance helps with Thunder as well.
I tried that with the Lantern, as I've talked about, and it's a great idea, but Lantern is garbage.
But it's Lantern.
Poor fish.
And I will say less synergy, but more like to your point, Tyler, moves that can help. Reflect is one that I like a lot because that carries over to the next Pokemon. So it's helpful to kind of think about like, oh, what moves can I do or can I use as setups for the next one?
Barrier is another big one for that too.
One doesn't switch though.
Well, oh crap! Never mind.
You might be thinking screen.
Nope, because I was thinking Mr. Mime.
Okay.
And then
Mr. Mime
doing housing chores. But yeah, never mind.
And having the hots for Ash's mom.
Yeah, what a waste of a Pokemon.
He's better than Smeargle.
Okay, he's pretty worthless. So is Ditto.
A poor Ditto.
There's, as a side note, this is a hilarious story. One time Rick and I decided to have a garbage match where we went into Pokemon Stadium, went into rentals only, and picked each other 6 Pokemon. And I picked him like... I picked all the useless ones for him, like a Metapod, Caterpie, a Weedle, a Kakuna, and then I also gave him a Ditto, and I was like, so you can turn into whatever trash you're gonna give me.
Fantastic.
I won because he made the mistake. He gave me the Unknown, which has an actual attack move, and I was like, oh, you're toast. Have fun using Harden.
Yeah.
The next question I like a lot because I have a lot of different ones in this category, so I want you guys to talk about your opener Pokemon, the first one out. And I actually, for me, I'll let Tyler go first, but I actually have 2 or 3 different ones that are my openers. I was curious on your strategy there as far as like, do you switch it out? Do you have ones that are only openers, or do you have one that can like fill any slot? What are your thoughts?
So part of the reason that I started using the opener Pokemon idea was because I had a fire type team for the 5th tournament, and I needed something that would be able to set up Sunny Day for everybody else. And you really have to have someone set up Sunny Day, because if you set it up for yourself, most fire type Pokemon have weak defense, so you're wasting a critical move in just setting that up. So I went through and I looked for Pokemon that had good speed and just enough defense that they could take a hit. And I chose Ninetales, and I went with Sunny Day and Reflect on both of them on Ninetales, so I could get 2 really helpful moves to the rest of my team. And then the whole point, like, Ninetales could just faint, and that's it. Like, it didn't really matter because that was part of my strategy. And then I could bring in something like Houndoom, who can learn Solar Beam. And then I had a boosted Fire Blast, or I could do 1 turn Solar Beam. Plus, it had the boosted defense from Reflect. And at first glance, that seems like it sounds good when I'm explaining it, or at least I hope it sounds good. But at first glance, it also might look like a bad idea because our tournaments were Poke Cup, so that's 3-on-3. And if you're essentially sacrificing your first Pokemon, then you're down a third of your team already. And so a lot of people thought that it was risky, and they were reluctant to try it. But I think that giving that second Pokemon, like, basically 2 additional steps to start out, they hit the ground running and can really do a lot of damage.
We'll get into it more, but I really like the single type teams. I think you have to get really creative, and getting a type like Houndoom that can do Solar Beam is super creative. My starters are usually Gengar, Jolteon, or Arcanine, and I guess the similarity there is they're all pretty fast. I generally don't throw out somebody who's slow, although Gengar can get beaten by speed. But as far as strategy, they're very different. Gengar's a setup, Arcanine can kill and is a setup, and Jolteon can also take out people. So it's interesting that between my starters, they don't all have the same purpose.
Yeah, no, I think I'm kind of the same way. There's usually about 3, sometimes 4 different ones I'll start with, just right from the get-go. Usually it's either going to be Jolteon or Starmie, because Jolteon is fast and is going to hit first and hit hard. And Starmie, on the other hand, I'll throw out because it's so versatile. Now, Tyler talked about Houndoom being able to learn Solar Beam. Starmie can also learn Thunderbolt and Psychic. So, because Starmie is part water psychic, for those of you that don't know. So, Starmie now has Recover, Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Psychic. So it has the ability to tackle a bunch of different opponents coming off the get-go. And then the other one I'll go with is Golem, because he's an exploder. And no matter what happens, so long as I don't get pinned up against another Pokemon with a very high physical defense, or get pinned up against someone with Reflect, I'm able to kind of do that. So those are kind of the 3 I usually lead off with. Occasionally, I'll lead off with Snorlax or Tauros, because they're another group that can kind of go for the long haul, just to kind of bear down the other opponent. But usually the 3 I'll throw out there is Golem, Jolteon, or Starmie.
I love when Rick talks about a Starmie, because every time he talks about it, he's like, I'm the only one that thought of this. And I was like, nah, bro, everyone has a Starmie.
Oh, but mine's the best one.
The other opener that I had that I forgot to talk about was I have a Raichu that I like Raichu because Raichu is pretty fast. I mean, there's faster Pokemon, but Raichu is really fast, and you can get you can get Light Screen and Charm. And Charm is like Reflect, except that it lowers the opponent's attack by 2 stages.
Special attack?
So it kind of gives the same effect. No, physical attack. Okay. It kind of gives you the same effect as Reflect, except that you're kind of putting the opponent, you're forcing them to make the decision of if they want to switch to negate that lowered attack. But also you can give Raichu Thunder Wave, so you you can really cripple your opponent's attacking options.
If we're picking favorites, my favorite starter of mine is Gengar because he has one job and he does it so well. Um, but I've also considered putting a move like Roar on an Arcanine if I lead with him and I don't like the matchup. I kind of like the idea of forcing them to randomly send another one. So then I see two types that they have in their hand, and then also maybe that matchup turns out better for me.
That makes your first Pokemon, like if you did that with Arcanine, it kind of makes it seem less of a setup and more of a scout.
Fair. Because he,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I almost like that because he can't take that many hits. To your point, he's a fire type. His defense is not amazing. But if he can scout and then set up, like one move scout, one move set up, that's all he needs to do. What are your thoughts on Pokemon that know like a Spikes or a Baton Pass, or ones that kind of are more in depth with the setup?
Well, Tyler had a good strategy with Baton Pass. I think Spikes is kind of a waste of time. Don't really like it so much, but Baton Pass could actually work real well. But I'll let Tyler kind of talk about that.
And Spikes is like a really popular strategy in like the Smogon 6-on-6 battle, where I feel like there's a lot more switching, which makes Spikes make sense. But in 3-on-3, you have to be willing to switch, but I feel like it isn't as much of a switch fest, so to speak. So devoting a Pokemon with Spikes on your team, it just takes up valuable space that would be better suited to other things. At least I haven't seen someone make a really effective Spikes team in a 3-on-3, not yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't either.
It might be interesting to see that, but there aren't a ton of Pokemon that learn Spikes in Gen 2, and one of the most effective Pokemon that uses Spikes across all games, I think, is Armory, and he doesn't even learn it in Gen 2. So, but Baton Pass can get silly if you have a lot of Baton Passers. Kind of an unwritten, unofficial rule at the tournaments we did was you were limited to just one Baton Passer. But if you sent someone out there, Swords Dance, Baton Pass to Snorlax or something like that, now Snorlax has this unbelievable attack power, and it can be really hard to stop that. So I think Scyther and Scizor might be the two best options for Swords Dance and Baton Pass.
Dude, I might do that next tournament. That sounds fun. I like Scizor. He's a cool looking Pokemon.
Gotta watch out for that fire attack.
It's fine. Not scared.
Yeah, he gonna get it.
He gonna get it!
From what, your Houndoom that's a one-hit KO waiting to happen?
Yeah, he's a glass cannon, but he looks cool.
Alright, on to more details about the tournament that I like a lot. The type tournament.
So the reason that we ended up doing a kind of gym leader type tournament was a combination of ideas from the other Mike that we talked about, Mike R, and my brother-in-law. Mike had noticed he had been to tournaments 3 and 4, and he noticed that him and I both did really well, and he suggested that we kind of sit outside the tournament and like wait for the top 2 players. So that would be kind of like the gym leader waiting at the end of after you battle through the gym and get to the leader. And then my brother-in-law suggested that we all pick one type and just go with that type for our team. And we put the ideas together, and Mike and I raised specific teams with a specific type. I was a fire type team, and he went with poison. He initially wanted to do psychic, but early generations of Pokemon, the psychic types were really overpowered, and most of his regular team was psychic anyway. So I was like, maybe make it a little more difficult than that. So he picks poison.
And yeah, I can see that actually being a little bit more fun because now you're kind of limited to the Pokemon you got to use, so you actually got to use a little bit more strategy in that point too.
Well, then, as a person battling in that tournament, because I was in that tournament, we'll talk about how that went. Um, it makes it more fun when you battle them because it feels like you're battling real gym leaders. You're like, oh, right, like the fire gym leader, like the poison gym leader. It's like more similar to what you play in the original games, where those gym leaders are type specific.
It's really weird too because I remember Connor saying when I told him about this, he was like, "Well, someone's just going to bring like 2 water types, and your fire type team is going to be destroyed." And I was like, you underestimate the options that are available because there's really a ton of options. Like we already mentioned, Sunny Day Solar Beam with Houndoom. If you throw a water type out there, he can probably 2-shot any water type with those moves. And Sunny Day's out there, water type moves are now made less powerful, and he's going to be able to last a little bit longer.
Yeah, so that's true too. That's something a lot of people don't think about is the reduction of the water type attacks with Sunny Day on there as well.
That's how, not this Mike, my brother Mike, which we haven't mentioned it, so shout out Smack Talk to Mike. That's how I beat him one time. I had an Arcanine, he had a Lapras. It was our last Pokemon each. But my Arcanine knew Sunny Day, so it cut that water attack in half immediately, and I took it down, and he was mad, and it was hilarious. But to Tyler's point, there's a lot of options in single types as far as moveset and effectiveness.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah, because we mentioned before that Snorlax was so overpowered in these tournaments. Like everyone had a Snorlax. Well, everyone except Laura.
I will never have a Snorlax. Snorlax sucks.
Laura went the total opposite direction. Went with Snorlax killers.
Exactly, which is a good strategy, and that's what I looked for with the fire type team that I built. I was trying to figure out, okay, who can learn really good fighting type moves, and there's a few Pokemon that can learn Submission by TM in Generation 1, but that gives you recoil damage, so that wasn't a very good option. But in Crystal version, you can breed Cross Chop onto a Magmar. So I had
dope.
Yeah, I had a Pokemon that I could actually throw out there and most likely surprise people against Snorlax.
Yeah, that would be legit. A Magmar with Cross Chop. Oh yeah, for sure.
We should.
You can do that with Electabuzz and Golduck actually, as well.
But
one of our later episodes, we should do like a breeding 101 because some of these are an amazing like combo set, like an Arcanine with Crunch. I love.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about results first, or do you want to talk about how I was in this tournament via proxy phone call?
Well, let me mention my cousin Connor. He was gonna be the backup gym leader in case something for some reason the other Mike or I couldn't do it. So he raised his own ground type team just for fun, and then used it at the tournament. Even though both Mike and myself were there, so he put in a lot of time and effort on that ground type team, and it was pretty fun. He had like Sandslash and Nidoking, and who else did he have? I think he had Steelix, Golem.
I mean, at this tournament, if I'm not mistaken, I called Tyler and you just moved for me, right?
Actually, your brother did it.
Which one? Rick?
Mike.
Mike.
Fucking Mike sucks.
Well, that's probably why you lost. 'Cause he's like, well, I thought this would be better. Dude.
Yeah. You said what? You said reflect for the third time in a row? So this one, he had my Pokemon on his game because I could not make this tournament. I was afar. But he called me and essentially was giving me a play-by-play. And he'd be like, oh, so-and-so did name a move, Fire Blast, Submission, Hydro Pump, Hypnosis. And he was like, what do you want to do? And then I would tell him. But it was tough because there was like such a long delay. and then I'm not seeing like hit points or status, so I have to ask him, hey, how many hit points are left, and like how many do I have, and like who's next, and like I'd have to ask things, and a lot of times he'd forget. I'd be like, oh well, like how many moves has he been toxicated, and he'd be like, I don't remember. So it was definitely tough to jump in.
Yeah, that was not a great idea.
Oh,
I remember
God.
you were battling Nick, and Nick was like I came over and was like, "How's it working out?" And he was like, "I hate this."
I feel like if we did it today, we could like FaceTime me in and it might go a little bit differently. But at that point, I don't even think we were FaceTiming. I think it was literally just a phone call.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was just a phone call because the church didn't have Wi-Fi yet.
Oh, what was life
Can't
like without
imagine.
Wi-Fi?
I can't imagine that the reception was great down in the basement either.
Yeah.
God,
Oh,
people
man.
don't remember life without Wi-Fi. I almost forgot that I lived without Wi-Fi before in my life.
No,
Yeah, would we
it's kinda
use hard line? I could play Line Rider in school.
Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
probably they probably blew out that mic. Whatever. So, the question pre White Claw intermission was anchors on your team. Who do you have? Why do you have them? Kind of what are your faves? Are there any anchor mistakes that you've made?
So part of the reason that when we made the single type teams, we said you had to have 5 Pokemon out of your 6 were your devoted type, and your 6th one could be your team anchor. It could be something else. And the reason that we said that is because if you remember playing on Stadium in the gym leader castle, some trainers, some of the gym leaders would have random Pokemon from types they don't normally have. And some of them would make sense, like Brock has a Ninetales, and in the anime he had that Vulpix for so long, and so you just think, oh, he evolved it. But I think Misty had a Rhydon in one of the either Stadium 1 or Stadium 2 or Round 2 of one of them, and that kind of was to counteract people bringing in all the electric types because she's a water trainer. So we decided to go with the same thing. And it was just, usually it was a really strong, versatile Pokemon. And I went with Dragonite because Dragonite's awesome. Dragonite can learn like so many different moves and is really versatile.
So I actually agree Dragonite is a great choice, but he has to be 55, correct?
Yes.
Which comes into play for me. Some of my Pokemon are 52, 53, and 51. I don't have any level 50, so Dragonite for me is not an option. My anchors are usually Umbreon, Lapras, or Skarmory. Again, actually, no, they're all defense heavy. Umbreon is a very specific strategy, and Lapras is also a fairly recent addition as far as like closing my massive gap of weakness to ice. And Skarmory is just great at hanging on.
So I would agree though that Skarmory would be a good anchor because you can like really heavily lean on Skarmory for a lot of things.
And he's one who, again, I don't think my moveset is perfect. There's one moveset that I might swap out, but he's one who is also very versatile as far as types. The same way I feel actually about Umbreon. You can throw most any Pokemon out there and no one's going to one-shot or two-shot either of those Pokemon.
I agree with that one.
There's not much that can, I mean, like a cross-chopping Machamp or a Megahorn Heracross will take out an Umbreon pretty quick, but most other things, unless they're using Swords Dance or something, he's going to be able to withstand quite a few hits.
Didn't Michael bring a horn with
Wedding tournament, not this one.
Oh, okay, that's a different one. Anyway,
He did.
yeah, Michael did that, but then got owned later. But that's okay.
Because Michael sucks.
He's fainted.
He's fainted.
He's
I will add
on the
for
floor.
I'll add for our Grimers. He's not a doctor. He's not saving lives, so we can make fun of him. He's deemed essential, but it's kind of laughable.
So should I go over some of the results from the gym leader tournament?
Let's do it.
I have to give a special shout out to Robbie, who was one of the Knicks. There's like a few Knicks that have come, and he came. Robbie came. He was one of his friends, and his strategy was literally pick every Pokemon that is a rental that knows Metronome, and just use only Metronome the entire time. And it was so funny
fully
because
support
he was
that.
battling against. Wait, what was that?
I said I fully support that. That's hilarious.
It's so stupid, but it's actually really funny if you get good stuff. So, one of his matches was against Justin, who was a friend of mine, someone I worked with, and who was a big Nintendo fan. And Robbie just kept using Metronome. And one of the times, Metronome picked Fissure, and then Fissure hit and killed Justin's Pokemon. I can't remember who it was, but the entire room was just screaming because it was so stupid but so funny.
Oh my god, that's gotta be so frustrating playing against that.
Oh my gosh, Rick, that's our next WTF battle. Instead of giving you 7 Metapods, we're picking all the Metronomers and only using Metronome.
Yes.
It's definitely the White Claw battle.
Ain't no laws.
This is like filling out a March Madness bracket and just flipping coins.
Unfortunately for Laura, you didn't make top 8 in this tournament.
Well, you mean
you
Michael
also
didn't make
weren't
top 8
physically
because I'm
there.
sure he was hitting the buttons incorrectly.
You also weren't physically there, so I guess that's just how it happens.
So what you're
But,
saying is I wasn't there, Michael battled for me, so Michael didn't make top 8.
Yeah, I guess you could say he had 2 cracks at it then. With his own game and his own team, he got 5th. He tied for 5th. And he beat Bailey in the winner's bracket, and then they actually met back up in the loser's bracket, and she beat him and actually eliminated him.
So he lost like a lot, is what we're trying to say.
So what we're trying to say
I guess
is
you could say that.
what we're trying to say is Michael sucks at this game.
He's not good.
I love it. It's just silence. He's not even here. He can't even be like, "Hey now." He just has to listen to this afterwards and just take the heat.
Just got to be taken to a Pokemon Center.
Chance
He's
even
not
listen.
going to listen to this.
I think he'll listen.
So
Get him a revive. Get him halfway there.
No. He needs a
Get
full
one of those,
restore.
one of those herbal powders that the Pokemon hate.
Give him one of Brock's puffins.
All you feed me is puffins.
Do you want me to lose? I need nourishment. Tauros meat or something.
So, like we said before, the way that this worked was myself and the other Mike were kind of the gym leaders that waited at the end. So the 2 players that came out, because we had one person that came out of winner's bracket, one person that came out of loser's bracket. The 2 people that came out of that were my cousin Bailey and Rick. Rick came out of the winner's bracket, and he battled. Yeah, Rick battled against Mike, the other Mike, in that game, and Mike did beat him. But Rick ended up beating Bailey because I beat Bailey as well. So Bailey got 4th and Rick got 3rd, and then we just had the people that won that. We treated it like a semifinal and then final. So Mike and I played in the final, and I beat him with I think it was because I had the Swords Dancing Charizard.
Oh,
that
yeah.
just wouldn't stop. This was the tournament that in a previous tournament Bailey had a lot of success with Fissure, and she worked on some other strategies to improve Fissure a little bit, and this was the tournament that made Mary extremely upset because she asked for the day off from work because she usually worked evenings, and she came to the tournament. She had her team ready, and then Bailey like fissured her entire.
Annihilated her.
Yeah, and she was pissed. She was like, I could have been working and making money, and instead I came here and lost in like 5 minutes.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, welcome to Bailey's
She was
fissure, because it's happened to all of us.
Shenanigans. Yep. Freaking right on.
It's a Tauros this time too.
There's more.
So let's go to, if you were to build, I know Tyler built a fire team. Me, Rick, and Tyler, you can pick a new answer. If you were to build a team of types, what type would you pick?
I don't know. Fire would be a good pick. Honestly, for me, I'd probably go water. I tend to already kind of like the water types anyway, because you do have the water moves, you got the ice moves. Blastoise can also learn Earthquake, so that can kind of throw a wrench into some of the other poison types that are out there, if I'm not mistaken. So water probably for me. If I can swing a dark type team, I would try to do it. But
Get off my answer. Get your own.
Hey, no. Arc is my team.
You don't even have a dark Pokemon currently.
I have Houndoom.
Okay, but he's fire, mostly.
I have Houndoom and Mischievous.
Mischievous is not allowed in tournaments, or is it? It is.
Mischievous is ghost type anyway.
Ah, dang it.
Yes, dark type is mine. Get a new type.
Fine.
Go suck
Fine.
it.
I'll take water then. Take water and smash your stupid team.
You couldn't. Not with a water type.
Oh, wanna bet? The challenge.
Yeah, challenge accepted. Bring it. When do I see you
Okay.
next? July?
don't
Challenge
know.
accepted.
We bet. Well, I'll bet dinner on it.
Okay, fine.
Oh,
Cool. You heard
You
it
guys
here.
got to stream this or something. I want to see this.
We'll stream it. I'll tell my head grammar right now. He'll make sure we stick to the dinner bet.
Okay, yeah, do it. Do it. Bring it.
I will.
I want to know all about this. I want to see. It better be all over your Snapchat stories. Whatever.
We should just live stream it to our YouTube.
I want to see it.
Oh yeah.
So for me, I would pick, and I don't think there's enough of these. Maybe I do a hybrid if it's allowed. I'd pick dark. I really like fire teams. I still think they're not quite versatile enough. A pretty weak defense. I would do a dragon team if there was enough of them, and I don't think there is enough of them. But I also like dragon.
Yeah, I've thought about that a few times. You could do a dark type team if you had an anchor, because it would actually be a pretty good team because you have Tyranitar, you have Umbreon, Houndoom, Sneasel,
Oh man.
and Murkrow.
You're gonna lose, Rick.
So Sneasel and Murkrow suck, but you could do something with them. I know you could work something, like maybe Sneasel's pretty fast. Maybe you could do something to have Sneasel as your starter. And I mean, Tyranitar's like top notch Pokemon.
Yeah.
And then you'd have your anchor left as your sixth one.
So Rick, you have literally no chance with a water team. No chance.
Okay.
I gotta say though, objectively speaking, water types, there are a lot of water types. And just the fact that there's so many choices, and the dark types, you're extremely limited. I mean, you've got Tyranitar, you've got Umbreon, and you've got Houndoom. But Sneasel and Murkrow are both pretty bad. So that anchor would have to also be really good.
Yeah, I already know who it is. I have it in my head.
Okay.
I'll tell Tyler. Rick's gonna have to
Can't wait
wait
to
to find
see
out.
this.
Tyler, you're sworn to secrecy. You can talk to me and you can talk to Rick, but you cannot tell us about each other's teams.
Can't wait.
Unfortunately, there's literally only like one team that Laura can use.
Yeah. Can we get like a Bart Scott soundbite in there? Can't wait.
Can't wait.
I think we should skip question 6 because that kind of who would be your anchor would kind of give away what you guys are kind of wanting to do with those teams. So
Ooh, that's so mysterious. Hey listeners, when Rick and I do this battle, we'll tell you our answers to question 6, although mine's probably pretty obvious. Rick's maybe not so much.
Yeah, I got a little more options.
Okay, Rick, I know you like Blastoise. Who else you bringing? There's only like 6 dark types. You already know who I'm bringing. Who else you got?
Oh yeah. I don't know. There's Blastoise, Starmie. Lapras is a good one. Lantern. No, definitely not Lantern. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to kind of take a look at the list and see what else is there, and yeah, I'll surprise even myself.
I think I got this in the bag. That sounds egotistical, but I got this. Tyranitar's solid.
Yeah.
Wanna know who's not involved in this battle? Mike, cause he sucks.
Because he couldn't even get to the battle. He's fainted.
He's fainted. 1-hit KO. A knockout.
Oh, knockout!
Alright, this one will be fun for our Grimers as well as us. I would like us to rank the gym leaders. Technically, there's 18 of them across Gen 1 and 2. If you don't remember all of them, just rank maybe your best and your worst.
That we should note that there actually are 18, even though there's 8 in each game, which would sound like there should only be 16 with the 2 games. But 2 gym leaders are changed in Gold and Silver. For the Kanto gym leaders are different.
Do you want to say which 2 are different?
So Koga becomes an Elite Four member, and his daughter Janine becomes the Fuchsia City gym leader. And then Giovanni disappears because of all the Team Rocket stuff. And technically Blue becomes the gym leader, but I always call him Gary.
Gary.
Frickin' Gary.
Gary.
All entitled with Professor Oak stuff, still can't amount to.
But what's funny is everybody who's good at Pokemon knows this. In the anime, he's a significantly better trainer than Ash. By far.
Yeah, in the one episode, he's got badges that don't even exist.
Where'd he get those?
See?
On shop.
Okay, so ranking the gym leaders is tough.
Are we talking like how hard they are to compete against, or what are we talking about?
I mean, I guess it could be whatever you want to say. I mean, I think the most difficult battle, unless you specifically go in, like the hardest battle I've ever had in any of the Pokemon games, going in blind, not knowing anything, is definitely Whitney.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that, because she's the normal type gym leader, correct?
The Miltank from Hell.
Yep. I'll agree with that one.
If you go in, because at that point in the game, you could have caught I know you can get Geodude, and I think you can get Onyx by that point. And so you would heavily resist rollout. So you'd be okay. But I think if you want Onyx, you have to really go out of your way. And I feel like Geodude is not particularly popular. So most people probably didn't have that. So most people go in and just get wrecked.
I remember Koga being tough, but that's because I'm remembering him from the Elite Four. And Koga's in the Elite Four is 1. And if you don't knock him out fast, you're like toast, because he does like double team so many times.
It's like I also liked Claire, because she's like in the story, she actually is Lance's cousin. And Lance was pretty cool. They're both dragon trainers, and dragons were always really cool. So I liked her.
I feel like Brock, Misty, Lieutenant Surge are collectively just the easiest 3. People just like kind of can wipe them out pretty quick.
Especially if you pick Squirtle as your starter, Brock is like really easy.
I've actually, oddly, never picked a fire type as my starter. Considering how much I like them, I've never picked a fire type as my starter.
You always pick.
I always pick Bulbasaur, and then Chikorita, and then occasionally Squirtle.
Okay. I almost always pick the fire type, but I think that was obvious since I was the fire type gym leader.
I like Squirtle.
You think is like the most boring or least engaging gym leader?
Erica.
I was gonna say Erica because you could just use flamethrower on literally every Pokemon. You just sit there and click flamethrower, and that's it.
I was
Erica.
gonna say,
I mean, did you see the
I would-
anime? You just light a match in that place, and the thing just explodes.
yeah, firefighter Ash. That's how he got his gym badge.
That's how I got all those gym badges, by doing nothing actually involving Pokemon training.
With the exception of Lieutenant Surge and Blaine. Those are like the
Koga.
only two he actually like won.
And he beat Koga.
Did he really?
Yeah, they had a fight. I think he won it with Charmander.
Oh, you might be right.
Yeah, no, the majority he was just like given.
Oh, that sucks. And Gary actually had to work for that. And Ash just like, oh, pat you on the head, you're cute. Here's a pity badge.
Well, if you are beating Koga, a fire type is the way to go.
Gym is so weird because there's like he's supposed to be poison type, but there's like guys in there with Kadabras.
And like in my experience with him, he's not even poison type. He's just accuracy, effective move type, double team, weird move again, double team.
Ninja type.
Yeah, ninja type.
I think all his Pokemon are poison type in Gen 1. I think.
In Gen 2, he's definitely a weird hybrid. A lot of them are poison, but he has a couple that are just bug.
Yeah.
If there was one Pokemon from my team and one Pokemon from Tyler's team that you could have on your own team, Rick, what Pokemon would you pick?
Oh, I think I'd probably pick the Umbreon, Tyler's Umbreon, and then Laura's either Executor or Machamp.
These are all solid choices. All right, same
Love my
question.
Umbreon.
Same question to Tyler. Mine and Rick's team, who would you pick?
So Rick has a really different Tauros strategy than I do. So his Tauros is pretty. I mean, it's kind of a standard Tauros, which is Body Slam for stab, and then you get the chance to paralyze. That's kind of a standard Tauros, but it's been really effective. I think it's been more effective than most people that have used Tauros. I know Mary had one, and Bailey had one, and they had mixed success. But I feel like you always had really good success with yours. So I would pick that, and then for Laura, I would probably pick Gengar, and that might be because it's like the exact same strategy that my Gengar has, which is just like Suicide Gengar. But it's so awesome.
It's the
And
best.
It's so good.
It's the best kind of Gengar. He has one job and he's phenomenal at it.
It's funny.
It's hilarious. And then also, if you haven't battled against my Gengar, you're not entirely sure. And then as soon as you figure out, you're like, oh, I know what it's gonna do. Oh wait, it's too late.
Dang it. Yep.
Unless
So,
you're
Laura, if you
Mike,
had to take
because
one Pokemon from Tyler and I's team, what would you go with? Because obviously no one's taking Pokemon from Mike's team because Mike's team sucks.
no, and specifically about my Gengar to Mike, because he's an idiot and bad at Pokemon. He brought a Weezing out against my Gengar, and he left his Weezing out there long enough to die via my Gengar, and then I suicided out his next Pokemon. So I had two left and he had one left, and it was like just Gengar, and it was just the one of his very large mistakes in battle. It wasn't a tournament, it was just for funsies, but I was like, you're really gonna let me take out your Weezing and the next Pokemon? Okay.
Yeah.
Tyler, I'm torn. There's two of Tyler's that I want. For Rick's, I take his Starmie because I'm gonna take a quote from Connor because it is the fastest Starmie I've ever seen. His Starmie, for some reason, is like insanely fast, and his stats are pretty good.
Yeah.
I would not take Houndoom, Glass Cannon, and I hate Snorlax, so I'm not taking that either. For Tyler, I want the Dragonite, but I kind of also want the Kingdra.
Which was funny. But Dragonite's so cool because it's shiny.
Oh, then but so is your Umbreon. My Umbreon's not shiny.
It's true.
Wanna know who has no shiny Pokemon? Mike and Rick. So, ha.
Bro, shiny Pokemon. Because this guy also didn't have a friend who had Game Shark to get her unlimited Master Balls in my silver version.
I didn't catch Skarmory at that point in time. I had him before. I had him from my very first silver game. That Skarmory is like 20 years old.
Yes, on that one.
I got so lucky that he was shiny. He just happened to be shiny. I haven't seen a shiny Pokemon in like 7 years, which is so sad.
I know.
Well, me too. Well, actually, it was the Dratini that was on my friend's game, and he didn't even know what it was. And I explained it to him, and then he just gave me the controller and was like, "Okay, you need to catch it for me then." And all he had was one Great Ball and one Ultra Ball.
Oh no.
I was like, "Excellent! This is phenomenal."
Totally gonna work.
I caught it, so whatever.
But you also had a shiny Eevee,
Yeah, but that one I harvested from a used game that I bought.
which is also lucky because when I bought my Crystal Use, they wiped it beforehand. I was like, no, I wanted to see what you had.
It's dumb.
Exactly. If you ever sell a game, keep your game on there. People want to know what you have. I am so ready for next episode because the theme is Michael Sucks of today and the next episode. The next one we're going to talk about is a wedding tournament. In case you were ever unclear of our dedication to Pokemon, at my brother Rick's wedding, the night before the wedding, we hosted a Pokemon tournament. And we can talk about all about how that went because I think that's where team cohesion really fell into place for almost everyone. So in case you were unsure, Michael Sucks, and this has been an Elite Four, a retro Pokemon tournament podcast. My name is Laura.
Tyler?
I'm Rick, and Michael is still fainted. He's in the Pokemon Center. They're working on it, but Chansey's not having a great time.